I have to have my fan down here. My trusty fan.
Oh yeah, that's that can happen. I
Gets a
have
little
to have my ice water. So I have a tormentor in this room. So I'm like,
All right, everybody, we are live and ready to go. So my name is Cheyenne Raquel Farley, and I am the Education and Community Coordinator for Cara Theater. And I have the great pleasure of being with this phenomenal group of women tonight to discuss the Café Negro series, its formation, its current practices, and hopefully a little bit about its future. I'm joined by Marisela Barrera, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing anybody's names, please correct me, who is a former artistic director of Cara Theater. Anika McMillan Herod, who is Soul Rep Theater's executive director and co-founder. Tanya Holloway, who is Soul Rep Theater's co-artistic director and co-founder as well. And Gwina Bennett Price, who is Soul Rep Theater's co-artistic director and also co-founder. So I'm super excited to hear from these amazing women about their history, and we will be joined a little bit later from current executive artistic director of Cara Theater, David Lozano. So without further ado, ladies, feel free to take it away.
Hello.
hello, everybody. Wow. I'm so happy to see Dallas Gente in the house and bringing back fond memories when I saw that flyer, 1998.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those were the days.
So my first thought was 1998. I mean, we're in the midst of it. We were sort of diving in, producing work together with the Café Negro series. And I don't know, it's like, I just knew it was historic. While I was in it, I didn't envision myself with so many gray hairs, like, 20 something years later. But I did know it was historic. I thought it was important and urgent. And I don't know what you all thought.
Felt the same thing, but I'm trying to remember when we how did it happen? Where was that seed planted? I don't what was the first conversation? Does anybody remember the first conversation? Like, hey, why don't we officially collaborate and start? Gwina's the one with the great memory.
Yeah.
I remember.
I'm spinning, I'm buffering. I just remember that the piece Ambient Love Rights fell into our laps.
Yes.
And Kadamia was interested in it already. And I think Tim Johnson, who was going to direct,
yes, he did.
They've been just interested in one of us as an actor. And the conversation, I think, blossomed out of that play. And well, if one of us comes, we all come. That's kind of how it is to this day.
Yeah.
But I think it grew from Ambient Love Rights, which we were all in, correct? Maricela, weren't you in it too?
I was, it was like the memory, that was the foggy years, it was like, no, it's, from what I remember, 1997, that's when Adelina laid a groundwork, for Cara Mia in terms of the direction being Chicana focused, and also laying the seed for Ambient Love Rights and the Café Negro series. And so she, having laid that groundwork, just sort of like diving in and exploring and moving it forward. And that was the production that was at the Ice House, if I remember correctly. It was outdoors.
Yes.
I remember recruiting some people from my high school to come in. If that was the one, do y'all remember Michael Escamilla? Is that the one where he was involved?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So old, from the Rio Grande Valley. So recruiting some people to get involved, if I remember correctly. Oh my God.
That's right.
I remember also a very fun acting adventure we went on when we were doing Ambient Love Rights. Who was playing the fortune teller? Was that?
I played a fortune
Marinka, Maricela, and then we went to a fortune teller in the neighborhood.
That's right. Yes, we did. Yeah, that was back with, I still do. I like to immerse myself in real life experiences to inform the work. Definitely. But I do remember my dog. I know it's like a random thought, but I want to honor my dog that would come around with me. I don't know if you remember
Aw.
Lupe. Lupe
Yes, Lupe. Yes. Wow. Lupe.
was so
Oh.
kind with her, and she would run around, and she traveled with me to San Antonio, and this is where she has she had her last days, but she was so
Oh.
feisty, but she was my
Oh.
theater dog. Yeah. So ambient love rights, that was outdoors at the ice house.
Mhm. And
The
then for
first ice.
colored girls at the African American Museum, I just remember the time just being so invigorating. And I think it had more to do with us being youthful. I don't want to say it's just a time of youth because I think we still have a lot of that energy. But it just really seemed to be just something missing in a hole
Mhm.
in the arts community, artistic community here. So I think we just were bold enough to say, these are things that we want to do. These are people we want to work with, and let's just make it happen. And I just love that spirit that we had to just do it. What was all of our training for, if not to build and produce something?
And for Color Girls, for me, because I got a chance to direct it, was a show that like was perfect for what we were trying to say and what we were trying to do with Cafe Negro, because it already has such a Spanish Harlem feel and a lot of Spanish in it, and that whole vibe. And I was like, why hasn't anybody done this already? I remember thinking, this doesn't seem like a stretch at all. This feels
Mhm.
right, and so it felt like a sisterhood, and we were getting to show that sisterhood through that play.
I
That's
found
Love
here's the review that play. One of the reviews.
perfect.
You're in there.
Mhm.
So you have Tammy Thomas, Marinka, Maricela, and I forget the young lady who was the lady in yellow. I forget
Teresa.
her name.
Her name was Teresa. Is Teresa?
Okay,
Yeah.
for her.
Where is Marinka Kalaoi?
She's right there
No,
in front.
where is she now, though?
Oh yes.
Well, I ran into her mom many years ago here in San Antonio because she's from San Antonio, and me having moved here. So unfortunately, and Marinka, if you're out there, please reach out. I'm in San Antonio. I've been here. I do not know. It's one of those that I've looked on Facebook, tried to find, look for her, and I don't know. So hopefully maybe somebody can make that connection for us again, because she was pivotal also in the work,
Mhm.
the early days of Karamia. Marinka Kalaoi, yeah, who was also a SME graduate with me, and once upon a time, really stellar work. Really brought a commitment and a passion to the work. I was so blessed to be that. I would never forget the lady in orange, along with all of us. It was so empowering. Also, you
Mhm.
all, I remember your fierceness in terms of claiming space. I forgot exactly what venue that was, but I know it was a very nice venue, like with
The African American Museum for that
heating.
show.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
had heating and air, and
We had a lot of folks, is kind of me, it did too, to just, we were nomads at that time.
Yeah.
And so I think that was our first season at the African American Museum. We produced 2 seasons there, I believe. One thing I loved about our collaboration too was the diversity of the work we did. And, some of it was new work like Ambient Love Rights, which was actually a regional premiere. Colored Museum, for Color Girls, that's a reimagined piece of the Black theater canon. But then we did like Trojan Women, which was like, classical Greek theater. I got to direct that. And that's really one of my top 5 moments artistically,
wow.
favorite experiences.
I didn't realize that Trojan Women was a Cafe Negro show.
Yes, it was at the Undermain.
Ultraman.
Hungry
Hmm.
Woman. I thought the Hungry Woman was next. So
That was our last one, but
Okay.
Trojan Women was also Cafe Negro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that Trojan. Yeah, just us, getting that access in those community partnerships, like with Undermain, they were always so positive
Mhm.
about just inviting us and really being good hosts, and us also advocating to make it work for them as well. You know, so I think that was like pivotal in terms of that facility reimbursement program that was created with the city so that we can use it and they could also get compensated. I'm still going back to the advocacy days from the late 90s, still, because we have a lot of work still to do in San Antonio. And I always think, well, you know, we're barely in those late 90s right now in San Antonio, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I said it, you know.
Well, and I'm always one for saying the wrong thing, but we had the great Margie Reese at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And this city was hot in the arts in a way, in a way that is, I'm sorry, it's just not thriving that way right now. And even before the COVID, as far as just artists everywhere who, because they're getting funded in the rec centers, in the libraries, the neighborhood touring program was going on. Diversity was the point of that. So you might see some Hawaiian dancers or some kabuki theater. You might see anything in a free space back then. I miss it so much, and I miss her, and I miss the team of people who were just about the artists and realizing that it's up to our government agencies and these arts funds that cities get to make sure that individual artists get support so they can survive, you know. And we were able to really kind of live off of that back then. I mean,
We did.
Right.
We did. And during that time too, it seemed much more intentional to make sure art reflected Dallas too.
Yes.
You know, the diversity of Dallas.
And I have to say, I learned more during those years than I learned a lot, you know, during, you know, university and the training, and, you know, that was good. It was also privileged. You know, I felt very like, wow, why me? But I have, you know, you got to sort of fight for it, you know, outside. And it's really it was these years that introduced me to, you know, sort of like Black American theater, like Entasagi, you know, the for colored girls, and you know, even the Chicano literature that, you know, I really didn't find, you know, during my undergraduate years, unfortunately. So this is like the 90s, the mid to late 90s, just introduced me, broadened my idea also in terms of the work and our work. And producing that work, getting ownership of it and making it happen, and not needing to wait, you know, to make it happen. I think you two, you know, it's like Soul Rep is like pivotal in terms of making it happen, you know, and no need to wait our turn in, you know, other spaces that try to give, you know, sort of tokenism type of thing. I think that's what I also learned during this time in the Café Negro series. And I miss it. Like you said, I miss the energy. You know, making a better living in the 90s in Dallas than my freelance years here in San Antonio really sort of, you know, took me for a shocker, because yeah, it was really progressive, and it was, I don't want to say it was ahead of its time, because it was right where it needed to be, you know, and it should, you know, it sort of detoured, I think, not only in Dallas, but other Texas cities.
Around the country. I think it was just, I don't know what that was. What happened?
Yeah.
I need to dissect that.
Definitely.
Tanya? our quiet Tanya.
Yeah.
What
Well,
are you?
I was,
Cafe
the latter half of the Café Negro series, I was traversing a bit around a couple of states. And so I was there in the conception of it. And yeah, it was you know, like you all were saying, it was a no-brainer. It felt like when we got together and said, hey, let's merge the two companies, let's do a show together, it just really made sense. And it wasn't necessarily an effort to, ooh, let me learn what you all do, and learn what you all do. Is, I think, because of shared struggles together that are common between both groups of people, that it was just, you know, the commonalities meshed, and was able to Like in For Color Girls, like you said, Gwina, that experience isn't just catered to Black women, but Latino women as well. So they naturally brought those feelings that would normally happen with an all Black cast. And I think that's why, one of the reasons why it clicked and it worked so well. So yeah, it just always felt like it wasn't an effort to get together. It was just like, duh, yeah, let's do this.
And it was very refreshing too, because I don't remember us, we have a saying at Soul Rep, leave the drama on the stage. We don't like all the stuff backstage. But I really don't recall any animosity or challenge. It just seems like we just wanted it so badly. And I think we all just respected each other as artists and respected each other's mission and purpose of our organizations, that we just had a beautiful process.
And if you think
bringing
about
these
it, that
works.
is the way we were raised in the arts here in Dallas. I have my complaints, but at the same time, to your point too, Maricela, about Undermain being there to help us, about the African American Museum making space available, about the Theater Center in Frank's Place at that time. The people who were at the Theater Center at that time let us know that they supported what we were doing and opened their doors to us in a way that they just really didn't have to, And so the spirit of whatever it takes to make a show great was bigger than us, and it's kind of what raised us in this particular theater community. We help each other. Been a prop we needed or a set piece that I couldn't call Children's Theater or the Theater Center and ask for it, and if they had it, absolutely, And so I love that, and that's what we brought to our collaboration with Cara. We didn't know anything else. We didn't think about being grubby or status to power. It just didn't occur because our focus was on the work. And so I'm happy we kept that tradition, that's a focus, and we do leave the drama on the stage because that's where it belongs.
Yeah, well, that's my thoughts, sort of exactly, pretty much, is because, Soul Rep was always so gracious, in terms of how you approached the process, and I always, appreciated that because we knew it was a hustle. We knew we were all fighting, for, our space and even our audience and just helping each other. That's a lesson that I think it's nice to revisit, even in my own work, that it's community that makes us all like stronger, in terms of that. So thank you for that re-lesson. It's like, yes, having lived through it and thrived, it was like a exciting project that I think audiences, our communities, not, maybe, I don't know if they were surprised, but they showed up. All of the, it's like they showed
up in big numbers.
Yes.
Almost all of those collaborations.
Yes, exactly. And that was exciting to have that level of support in that way. And when I heard that this was relaunching, I was very excited. It's like very, it makes sense. It's so great to hear about that. In fact, if this type of program and energy can be ignited, I think in other cities, even, with other theater companies, I think other communities, I think there's definitely value in that, in showcasing how our communities can come together and tell stories.
Partnerships started to be trendy and stuff like well after that, 10, 15 years after we were doing that work together, because we recognized, I remember talking to you guys about how we all do share the same audience. Dallas has one theater audience. We're all going for the same body of people. It's not like this is the audience for this group and this for that. There's some that won't go to certain places, but for the most part, the theater people are the theater people. So getting a 2-for-1 with Soul Rep and Cara was like, the audience was like, "Ooh, yeah, that's cheap. I get to go see one ticket price." I think that's why people came. I think we were smart to be thinking that way. And then I remember later on, and you could be like, yeah, it's all about collaborations and partnerships for these grants now. And I'm like, well, duh. You've been doing
Naturally, doing it naturally.
Right.
But you know what I think also why it was so invigorating and resonated in the community, and I'm glad we were able to do it. Was it 3 or 4 years of the series? It's because it was an opportunity for people to come and see Black and Brown folks on stage
Yeah.
in a quality way. And so the expectation, you know, and these are people who are here in Dallas, not some transplants from New York or what have you. Come and see your local homegrown talent shine and support them. And that fed me a lot, that part, the people to be able to see us. Hey, yes, we are capable of this. We are capable of this art, of this artistic excellence. And I think that's the biggest pride I have of our collaboration is like, I think everything was just wonderful. There's some of my favorite productions we've ever done were these collaborations, period.
I enjoyed learning about like the Chicano history too in the process, and just being around like Adelina, a Chicano woman, like proud of it. And like she had so much fire. And it was just like, I had no idea about that world, you know? But I love edginess and I love the edge in the work, you know, and I want my hair to stand up on my arms when I'm watching stuff. And that's what Cara shows always do.
Yeah.
Always give me the feels. I wanted Soul Rep to be, you know, that. And working with Cara, I'm like, yes, we're going to do that. But Adelina, like she brought that in her performance and in her fearlessness. Remember Mexican Medea, she did the whole thing topless. I was like, oh, I wish I was that badass. I wish I was that uninhibited and just willing to bear it.
An artist, just an artist.
Yeah.
And that people walked out. A couple of people walked out. I was like, yes, I'm living life. Somebody walked out.
Sorry, y'all. My dog was eating my homework.
Literally your homework.
Well, yeah, I was good. Like my notes for my students' homework. I'll just.
Oh no.
It's okay. It's like, you know, zoom in. We're zooming. Things happen. But you're right. It's like that energy. Working with Adelina, the first production with Shadi Moraga's Shadow of a Man. That was my first. You know, that was our first show with Cara, and I was there, and she directed and acted and taught Eliberto Gonzalez how to do the Pachuco walk. If you ask him, if you ever run into him, if he's watching here, we're going to ask you next time we see you, do the Pachuco walk from Shadow of a Man. That's like a classic Cara Mia, you know, sort of Adelina moment right there. And then into, Mexican Medea was a was like a firestorm. I mean, it was pure flesh, fire, you know, sort of passion, rawness, sweat. It was all of that and more. I don't know if you remember, if my memory serves me, but it was a surprise for me to be cast because you were
amazing. It was a stretch. It was a role you never had before.
I never had that. And I was like, now, and, you know, I'm so grateful for it that it was sort of landed on my feet, and I'm like, let's do this. Let's make it happen. This is what, you know, it's like it's about the work and the passion. It's such a beautiful story and tragic that I remember that was my last show in Dallas with Cara Mia.
Wow.
I believe it was. I think so.
I was 5 months pregnant with my son during that show too. I remember that was so cool, performing in that. That was a pivotal time in so many ways for us. Yeah, that was the last show of the first round of Café Negro. But you know, who would have done those productions if we hadn't?
Yeah.
I mean, really. in those type of ways.
My students are reading the Mexican Medea right now.
Oh,
I have Dante Flores in doing a Latinx dramaturgy series.
Wow.
And they've read some hot stuff, and he brought it up. He was like, we want to read the Hungry Medea. So we went and dug that script out, and so they're reading it. We discuss it next week. I'm excited about that. These kids are getting quite the Latinx education through this process. We have read some hot stuff. So I'm excited for that. Yeah,
hey,
go there. There in high school.
high school. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
They can-
edgy work for high school.
They got an edgy teacher.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
So it looks like we have some comments here. Comment from Chris. So proud of you all. Your vision was revolutionary and the impact of your early partnership still resonates. And Ashley Oliver commented, I remember that. And that was a fun and interesting show. Yeah. And time to like, I don't know, again, it's like my memory is a little like wonky, but I believe that was the Dallas Critics, something ranked that Mexican Medea as like their favorite show for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Am I making that up?
No, we got something on that Critics' Choice list that year.
Yeah.
We were up there.
Yeah.
Big deal. And Trojan Women won awards. Cynthia Navarrete got Best Actress, I think, and Yika got something for directing. Like, we showed up every time. Color Girls got awards.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
We didn't mess around, did we?
We're like,
So come on, my
that was
Ready.
icing- that was icing on the cake. It was icing on the cake to be recognized.
Yeah.
Since
Yeah.
we enjoyed the process, so.
Uh-oh, what was that?
oh, we got someone ringing the doorbell. So, so this was then like late 1990s. And what is happening now?
We
So
know
that's
it's
what I was
working
saying,
some
like, I
magic
hope
with this collaboration.
Our audio production of My Red Hand, My Black Hand is up now. Originally, it was supposed to be a live production last spring, but thank you, COVID. We had to reimagine it, and it turned out to be a great gift that we did have to do that, because now that I listen to the play and I go into my imagination as I'm listening, I'm like, there's no way that what I'm thinking of and visualizing could have been fully realized. And I like it so much better in my mind, and I hope other people do too. They really go into her world, and, these voices in her head, you feel like it's you listening to the play. So I'm happy with the result. And I thank you, COVID, because you did a good thing right there.
That's beautiful. It's new territory, which is the tradition of Café Negro, I think. All right, let's try this and that, new territory. So really able to break ground, really able to even expand collaboration, and to do it with a little bit more coins than we may have had in the past, and to expand it to tell this story of not just a Black and Brown story, but a Black and Indigenous story. Was wonderful, and to bring in some Indigenous directions for consultations for that, and to work with Gwina, our former classmate, Fred, who teaches at Weatherford College. I've been sleeping on Weatherford College and its dynamic music program. Those students there, Black, white, brown, what have you, were able to have an incredible experience helping to build and bring the original compositions created for this piece to life. So I think that was a new element to Café Negro this year that was really special, is being able to have that educational component, work with students in that way, and really build something up from the ground up. Like Gwina said, having to reimagine this piece. And I'm just so proud of what was accomplished.
Well, congratulations. I'm, so excited that it's renewed, and really the spirit of the 90s, lives within all of us. It's so beautiful. That's sometimes I really miss Dallas. and the people, the diversity, and what I learned, especially from those times. Learned so much, and still sort of reflecting and processing those experiences. All very joyful. It took what we say a lot of chingazos, because we're sort of nostalgic about those times, but there was a lot of chingazos, also a lot of sort of undercover sort of biases, that we had to work through, and despite all that, just being present with the work, and just storytelling, and just really broadened my perspective as well. From the Rio Grande Valley on the border, when no one knew what the border was, or the Rio Grande Valley. Nowadays, because of what's been happening politically with our detention centers, we are make worldwide news, and but back then, I had to let people know that it's not all about gravel roads. Where's we do theater down, back then too, and we have a long tradition of storytelling as well. But it was when I went to Dallas, when I was got to know, make a living and make a life in the theater, and expand it with with like you all living in Dallas. And that was really, remember it quite fondly, but then also the good times, and also the chingazos, sleeping on that set, when we had to, with, not being able to pay people what we wanted to, and still surviving, and now to see it thriving as well, is really inspiring.
So what are you working on now, Maricela?
Well, a lot of different things. I teach in the English department at Northwest Vista College here in San Antonio. And so I'm more focused on writing creative nonfiction, and then adapting that into performances. So I do solo performances, and then I also direct part of Jumpstart Theater Company, which is sort of like a co-op. So we each have like a equal sort of say in it. Of course, COVID's played, a bit of a bit of a thing with producing theater, but I managed to do a show in July. So it was sort of taped remotely, and safely outdoors. And then I did a live stream to introduce the videos here at my home. And then now I'm also acting in a play that's all outdoors it's sort of like a roving sort of theater, and we each have like monologues, and so the audience moves from one, outdoor.
Oh, that's a great idea.
We're all masked, it's like we're social distance, but people stay in their pods. I mean, it's sort of like
how interesting.
Yeah,
Theater in the apocalypse. That is what we're producing.
And I'm pretty happy about this, because it's at one of our major performing arts centers. And this is the first time that they're producing a locally driven show, as opposed to a touring show. You see what I mean? They would really cast this with have one cast, and they would tour. But because of COVID, again, like y'all were saying that it's led us to explore new territories, that now they've actually produced with 100% local actors. And, it's sort of reinventing how they're producing, and saying, wow, it's like we have local talent. And even sometimes the word local is like, sometimes people think it's like a bad word, but I'm like proud of that. We don't need to see that anything else. Like, I'm San Antonio based and proud, and I'm happy that it's the Tobin Performing Arts Center, a place I've long critiqued because it's not diverse, in terms of what they present, or how accessible it is for local theater people to produce in that space, in their black box. So I think this is actually, hopefully, sort of expanded their perception, and what would be like audience ready to see different types of theater.
Well, that would be wise post-COVID to, glean, truly have gleaned that and start practicing some of this, moving forward. It
Definitely.
could be a gift to be.
Not sell it. That's exactly what's going to happen. That's what these times are about.
Mhm.
Help people see what is already there as a gift in front of you that you're not taking advantage of. And the city as a whole is getting a chance to have that opportunity through you guys right now. That's just what we're all doing.
Mhm.
We're sitting here wanting to lament about what we can do and what we don't have, when in reality, it's a time to look around and be like, oh, but I do have this, and I'm grateful for that. Oh, and I do have this. Okay. And I have time, and now I get to choose how to use it. And I'm mad. That's not a problem. That's not a real problem, because there's so much that we say we want to do if we had time. Well, when we had the time this summer, what did you do? I was like, let's try to make the most of this. This is an opportunity, to dig into that bag of things that you don't have time to deal with and deal with them, or you never will, right? So it keeps on showing up, like the things that look like, oh, this is being derailed, or I'm having to postpone this. Well, once you do, something better, usually, or more profound, or a permanent shift has to happen because of this. But that probably needed to happen. Every time it just keeps on happening like that.
So what do you all think about, we look at Cafe Negro, this particular collaboration, but just beyond us, what is the state of Cafe Negro communities and, organizations, you think, how do you think, how will many of us survive this time? And should, more of us just rely on each other to survive,
I
maybe
was,
get to thriving?
what Gwen was saying, well, really, I'm hoping that with the new opportunities, and like you say, the theater company in San Antonio that, would normally produce a show such as what you're doing right now, I'm hoping that they see the value in that, and that when things go back to, not, I want to say normal, but when we get over this hump right now and we're able to kind of communicate in a way that we did before, face to face, that they don't forget about what they produced and what they saw and the talent that came, that came from it, and that they don't go revert back to normal, but move forward with a new vision, a new eye, and being more inclusive, and seeing that it works and there's value in that.
Definitely. And this is like also inspiring to, like what Anika was saying about Cafe Negros, like what's next or what's the future, like different communities. I truly believe that this can be like a reference point for different opportunities for dialogue and creation and storytelling with Black and Brown communities. Like even here in San Antonio, I think it would be, we're starting to see now this summer, especially more dialogue between, it's like our communities and how we could be a force together. It's like,
yes, there's power in numbers and a shared experience, for sure.
Definitely. I mean, it's all, when we all circle back, it's all about, people ask me, well, don't talk about, don't talk about politics. It's all about politics. It's all about equity, opportunity, and being present, and also advocating, taking that space, and not necessarily
that those very politics are what put the wedge really between our communities. Because what we've done and what we started doing in the 90s, the reason it's so revolutionary is because it's not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to think the way the colonizer thinks of me. You're supposed to, that has been what they wanted. Society, politically, Mexicans were white. up until the 70s on documents, and so a lot of people align with what is on that birth certificate and assimilate to that thinking when they see a Black person. And that is created, that is manufactured, that is political, that is manipulation, all of that. So our work together, if our work together helps people to unpack that and get a little bit of understanding around this has been done systemically. This is not you just deciding you don't like Black people. You were taught that, and how, in what ways? How was that fed? And how do we redirect that? Because when we do work together in this capacity or any capacity that I've worked with my Latinx brothers and sisters throughout my life, it's always good. Like we totally see eye to eye. Like our mamas are the same way. There's so much that is easy about it, right? So on a grander scale, why aren't we already connected more, as a community? Because that wouldn't benefit everybody. That wouldn't fit the narrative.
Yeah.
Well, great art happens when Black and brown folks work together. Look at hip hop, a whole new art form.
Yeah.
Black and brown youth.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, it happens when we collaborate. So if we can just be more intentional or encourage people to have more, be more intentional about such collaboration. It's not about tokenism. It's not about, oh, I need to do this because I need to get this grant and show them. No, really sincerely and genuinely reach out and collaborate, because it will only enrich you personally as well, and enrich those. When you approach stuff with a sense of integrity, your craft and collaborations from a place of integrity, it's all good for all involved at the end of the day. If it's not about, money and all these other things, but really about this human connection. I mean, I know that's why I'm an artist. That's why I write. That's why I act and do all that, because I'm learning how to be a better human, and we can learn how to love each other of different cultures more if we are just really open to that without all this other baggage.
As where you all were talking, I remember that that's what really I took away from this Café Negro was like love and joy, because I have to admit I'm a little bit of a cabrona. I get heated. It's like
we need that too.
Yes, but it's sort of like sometimes I get so overheated. It was like always I could, I really appreciate that coming back, because now hearing you all talk, I remember what sort of I appreciated with y'all's collaboration as well. That sort of centeredness. Nika, I remember one time you directed like a short play of mine. I don't know if you remember. Didn't you?
Yes, it was Women Move Slow. Was that for the New Play Festival?
Yes.
Yes.
And you asked me questions about that play. I remember like, wow, I never thought, or I was like, wow, I never thought of that, type of thing. I discovered stuff, within that, my own work.
We learn from each other. Well, I wanted to see, we want to take time to invite David Lozano on, because as many of you all may know, Soul Rep took a 10-year hiatus shortly after, I think, this Café Negro turkey was, 2000, I don't even remember. When was it? 2002? Yeah.
When I moved.
But when we came back in 2013, David was one of the first people to meet with us and encourage us and say, yay, and was like, Café Negro, when are we bringing that back? So we've been back in the Dallas art scene now for 7 years.
Oh,
and we finally were able to make Café Negro happen. So David, turn it over to you for a second.
Hello. What a reunion. Wow, this is the conversation takes me back. I remember, I worked with Soul Rep 96. at Teatro Dallas.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I was 21 years old, and that may have been my second or third production ever. And so that was an incredible experience. And then the friendships that we made, and then Maricela's work. I didn't know Adelina, actually, and so, but I knew Maricela's work, and I I couldn't put my finger on it, but there was like an energy around Cara Mia. There was like a mystique around Cara Mia that really emanated from Mari, and so that was a tough act to follow. So, but no, that it's amazing to go back all those years, and I remember those shows. I remember the Trojan Women at the Underman. I saw that, and I wasn't able to see Mexican Medea. I was in a show at the time, but that was also making a lot of waves. And so now, what a journey! And here we are with my red hand, my black hand. So wow, we're in a whole different world right now, but we're still looking back at the pioneering of that era, right? So I think that I look back, and so I've always felt that Soul Rep was Cara Mia's sister company, and I always viewed Soul, and it's because I knew of the history. When I think about when I joined Cara Mia, Madi, you really kind of gave me the permission to really do whatever the hell I wanted. I mean, it was right.
Well, I want to say I still brag about that
That's great.
administrative decision, because I'm like, it's like you have it, you run with it, and you're not only surviving, but both companies thriving. And that's what's like, wow, that was like, good job, Mari, because that decision, is like, and Ellie was right there with me, of course. And we had a small but supportive board. And so, yeah, you just sort of dove right in, and it was exciting. It's been exciting to see it evolve.
It's been exciting for us, especially to see our sister company. We've always felt that same way too. Cara Mia just grow and bloom into this just amazing artistic. What is the word for it? Force, really? Yeah, just a force. And it's not just in Dallas. I mean, it's one of the best companies in the country, in my opinion. I just love and appreciate the thrust of what you all are doing now, the holistic approach to the craft that you have. Is it's not just about, as what Soul Rep has always said, it's not just about the art. It's not just about the art. It's about educating and healing and blah, 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 all these things. Well, Cara Mia practices that, and being able to see that, on this level now has been very exciting.
It's always like a spiritual experience. Every show, I walk out of there like processing and like, okay, and then this happened, and something happened to me. I didn't just see a show. I had an experience. So I love that. And I love that, because I get to have that from you guys, we make sure that it's a part of what we're doing too. That extra, it's that thing you can't see that I think, Black and brown people, we get that the best. It's that energy around what you're producing. It's not just what's there, it's what's underneath, it's what's gone before, it's love, it's all these elements that you can't see, but you feel it. You feel it, all those layers, they hit you when you're in that room, you feel that, and I think hopefully we have that in common. I know that's something, I strive for as a director, to make sure I'm in tune with what's going on in the unspoken as much as what we're saying and doing. But it seems effortless with Cara Mia, and listening to you talk, knowing who Adelina was and how open and fearless she was, and then Madi getting that seed in her and being a fighter just as she is anyway, and the smarts to someone who has stayed this whole time. we didn't change guard again, you know? So the choice was excellent. You knew you were leaving in good hands. And to me, it takes like a strong soul to like separate your ego and surrender something to a person that you know can handle it so you can fly, you know? To me, that's awesome. You know, I had a moment. I was like, this is a woman's company. They need a woman artistic director. And I was like, oh, David? Oh, wait a minute. Well, that might work. And I think that's a good idea. And it worked. So we're really proud of you guys. Smart.
Well, thank
Smart
you.
move, Marty.
Well, it's been a journey, and you know, and I think that I thought that this collaboration was powerful. I thought it was really intuitive how, you know, we did so much, you know, with so many different people on different things, and so we have quite a like a spread here. The production that Gwina directed is just out of this world. I mean, I've listened to it 5 times. The performances are incredible. The music is incredible. It's an audio production, and so you know, I'm now I'm starting to sell it to the people out there, because I'm telling you, people really need to listen to this, because there's only 8 more nights, and it's a, you know, I know times are tough in terms of time commitment, but this is a 30-minute piece and will move you. And if you love music, and we all love music, you know, it's a journey, and so it's been incredible, and I'm excited about our community programs. You know, we have the concert series next week, which is going to be
Yay.
3 mini concerts: the Lakota musician, a Tlingit musician, and and Domby Blue.
Our blues girl.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, magic happens when we come together and not wait on other folks to, you know, to bring us together. So I just hope we just continue to operate in that spirit and hopefully inspire others to do the same.
So I was going to say, I feel like, you know, we're, you know, as a BIPOC, you know, theater company, I kind of feel like, you know, we're charged to lead the way. You know, in many ways, I felt like when the pandemic hit, you know, our groups were primed to be leaders, and we can, you know, we don't have the same sort of historical limitations that could say, well, are you sure you want to produce this kind of piece or not? No, in 2002, you know, when Madi was like, she was creating so much new work that I was like, wow, we can just create, you know, let our imaginations run wild. And that's stuck with us. How do y'all think that these collaborations move in the future? What does that mean? And how is it different, you know, moving forward than maybe?
I want to take something on the road post-pandemic. Let's get something out of, you know, let's take it to other cities, other countries, you know, let's get out and really spread, as my daughter says, her new vibe. Her new word since she's 15 is vibe. Yeah, let's just vibe.
Yeah.
Let's just vibe. Out in the world, in the ether.
And picking up where David left off too, about, you know, we should be the leaders in this time because we understand what it's like to work with limitation.
Yes.
And I think the people who are struggling the most at this time are the people who have had it all, and now you can't do anything. So you feel like someone's punishing you. You've had all this money in these, you know, resources and equity people, and now equity is saying, equity's calling the shots. No, you will not bring the actors in and do X, Y, Z. Well, we don't have that problem. So they can't, you know, having to get up the rent for these buildings that are empty. Well, we don't have that problem. Right? Gigantic budgets that normally go to these productions, one show, half of one show at some places is what we're spending on an entire season. So knowing how to do a lot with a little, it's kind of our superpower. That's what is required in this moment. Yeah, we should be the leaders. And then going forward, I think what my red hand, my black hand shows us is that, and yeah, what that shows us is that we can pivot into another form of media that can continue to live, and we're done. Like it felt some type of way on opening night of that show. And all I had to do was click on my computer, then it was over. And I had the post-show excitement. And all I could say was like, but I still have it though, right? That show will live. It could live. If Dell Orlando Smith cooperates with us, that show could be on Audible and be available as a play on Audible. They have plays on Audible, right? It's a property that lives on. You know, this next show is being filmed largely. You know, Tanya and Anika's written a piece that Tanya's filming for as part of our season. That lives. That's going to be a moment when it streams, but it's going to always be there. That's another stream of revenue for us. That's a new way to create. We're having to stretch ourselves artistically. That's the future. Like, how do we mix mediums? How do we get it to other countries from right where we're sitting? Like, if we can't travel there, because it may be a while. Like, there is no hump to get over. The world looks different from now on. We create that. We create what that looks like from here. And yeah, we're the leaders of that. You know, our folks are always the ones who set the trends, and everybody else gets on board, or they brand it, but we started, right? So whatever we dream up, just like in the beginning, David, whatever we dream up. Oh, and it's now going to all DISD high schools. See, already the play. The children are going to hear this beautiful work, right? And who knows whose lives will transform? Who knows who's going to hear themselves or understand themselves better for the first time? You know, our lead actress in this show, this is her story. She said, this is the first time I've ever played a role with a person of mixed race, somebody like me. My first time. I'm like, that is.
It heals. Art heals.
Yeah. So now the children, they're going to be kids who hear that and have their first, and you know, it lives on. So I think that's how we think about it. Like, what's your wildest dream? What's the craziest show you could do with all these machineries and different things? Let's do it. You know, what does that look like?
Amen.
Absolutely.
I get excited. Y'all know.
Well, I'm super excited about this, and I think that this has been a great journey. You know, this has really been a powerful journey, and I hope we can plan on the next one, and whatever world we'll be living in when that happens. You know, I think we're going to be ready for it. Yeah. So I want to congratulate Soul Rep on your 25th season.
Wow, congratulations.
Crazy talk. Half of our lives. We're
oh, well, literally, yes.
Literally, three of us, you know, we turned 50 this year. All three of us. And that's half of our lives dedicated to a thing. You know?
A beautiful thing, to our first baby.
Yeah.
And Academia is celebrating 25 too this year.
Yes, our sister company.
So
it's amazing, isn't it? How far you've come.
I can feel it.
Keep going. You know, our community really needs our voices. Our world really needs to be able to see and experience the possibility of what good collaboration looks like, and unearthing these stories that we can't depend on others to choose to tell. You know, it's our responsibility to do this work. And I'm just honored and privileged that we figured that out a long time ago, that we could do some of this work together. It's been great.
I'm wondering if anyone wants to say any parting words, and we'll just go around the circle before we say goodnight. Would anyone like to say anything?
I know I talk too much, but I love each and every one of you. And I want to say thank you for being who you are and for being dedicated to this work we all hold so dear. And let's do 25 more.
Absolutely.
I guess I want to say I'm really happy to have, connected with all you all again. I love you all, and I'm really proud of the work that you're doing, and it matters. And I'm so glad to have been part of it.
And I just concur. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Anika.
And I concur. I love you all too. And in the words of my late grandfather, whose birthday was yesterday, keep on keeping on. Let's just keep on keeping on doing it together.
I look forward to the next collaboration, and I look forward to young people, not just but experiencing this with what we do, not only in our own entities, but together, so that they can see it's possible and they continue to do it as well. And if that means growing within our companies, that if they come to us, somebody right here in the Metroplex, not going anywhere else, but seeing that right here, it can be done, and they pick up the mantle, that they can continue the tradition that we've started 25 years ago. So I'm excited for the next generation of SOREP and Cara.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for, just like locking arms and building community together, and, for reaching out and sustaining this partnership. I just want to, recognize Madi, those educational programs are still going strong. We've got strong educational programs. Your legacy of creating new work and producing classics is still happening. And so, Cara Mia doesn't exist without Maricela Barrera, because she's still with us. And we certainly aren't Cara Mia without Soul Rep. So, I express my love to you all as well. And thank you for taking this journey with us.
Great.
All right, everybody.
Good evening, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care.
Good one. Thank you.
All right.